Welcome to another edition of Brugler's Draft Board. Here in the BetMGM Casino Studio, Dane, you recently republished your top 100 players. Let's take a look at the top 5. No real surprises here, especially at the top. Chase Young, the #1 overall prospect. In your eyes, what makes him such?
Yeah, and this hasn't changed since the summer, throughout the season. He led all of FBS in sacks, tackles for a loss, forced fumbles. And that's even without, down the stretch, Michigan, the Big Ten championship game against Clemson in the playoff semifinal. He didn't have a sack in any of those games. And I know some people pointed to those games and said, where was Chase Young? He was still making a huge impact. Sack numbers are great, but that persistent disruption, that's better than any production numbers you can find in the box score. So Chase Young, consistently disruptive. He can beat you in multiple areas with his power, with his quickness, with his hands. So I think there's a good chance that we see him end up maybe joining former teammates Dwayne Haskins, Terry McLaurin with the #2 pick over in Washington when it's all said and done.
Your #2 prospect, a former Buckeye who's had a sensational year for the LSU Tigers. Your first quarterback off the board, Joe Burrow. 55 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions this season. He's clearly had a fantastic year, but what stands out to you most about his play this season?
He's unflappable. It doesn't matter what defense he's playing, what they throw at him. The defense can do everything right. The defense can be perfect, and Joe Burrow is still able to beat them because of his poise in the pocket, his confidence as a downfield thrower, and just overall accuracy. The best thing that you can be as a quarterback is accurate, because it beats perfect defense, and that's what Joe Burrow is able to do consistently. And it's not like people will point to, he's only done it this season and he didn't do it last year as a junior, but he's done it every game this season. There hasn't been one time this year that you can point to and say, he had a bad game here or a bad half here. He has been consistently great from start to finish, and that's going to play through the draft process. I think he's the clear favorite to be the top overall pick.
Your 3rd overall prospect, another Ohio State Buckeye, that's cornerback Jeff Okudah. The thing that stands out about Okudah to me, he doesn't have eye-popping stats, to say the least. 3 interceptions this season, but what makes him cornerback 1 and your 3rd overall prospect?
It's all about the traits. And, he came into the year as a projected top 10 pick, and that was with 1 career start and 0 career interceptions. So Okudah had a little bit of work to do this year to show that all the hype that was being thrown his way, that he could live up to it. And this is a former 5-star guy, so he understood from the start expectations and what he needed to do, and he stepped up this year. As a first-year starter, as being the guy, a target on his back. He allowed only 1 touchdown all year. He had 12 passes defended. And, when you look at that Ohio State defense, they play a lot of cover 1, meaning that their corner is going to be left on an island, and Okudah did that and did it very well.
Let's wrap up your top 5. Numbers 4 and 5, both members of the Alabama Crimson Tide, quarterback and offensive tackle. Let's start with the quarterback, your #4 overall prospect, Tua Tagovailoa. Clearly, the medical is going to play a huge part in his evaluation. But what about on the field? What makes him your QB2 and your #4 overall prospect?
Well, he is a twitchy thrower of the football. His mental processor is outstanding, and he's just his instincts, where he can use his legs, use his mind, and then he's an accurate thrower downfield. And so that total package, because he's not the biggest guy, he's only 6 foot tall, he's a lefty. There are certain things about his game that you can nitpick at, but when it comes down to it, he just creates because of what he can do with his arm, what he can do with his legs. And so as long as he's healthy, Tua will be one of the first players drafted in this class.
All right, let's wrap things up with the person that protected Tua's blind side, Jedrick Wills, right tackle for Alabama. What makes you put him ahead of Georgia's left tackle Andrew Thomas and Iowa's Tristan Wirfs?
Well, Wills is a former 5-star guy, so he's been on the radar for a little bit. He put together a strong sophomore year in 2018, and then he took a big jump this past year in 2019. We knew he was a mauler in the run game, but he is an ascending pass protector as well. He's explosive, he's long, he can move, and he has the appetite, the competitive appetite that you want at the position.
That was another edition of Brugler's Draft Board here in the BetMGM Casino Studio. If you want Dane's full top 100, make sure to check out his Twitter at DPBrugler. Dane, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next week.